All right, here we are. We are back with another podcast from Outsider. We are in, I don't know where we're at.
Alpine, Texas.
Alpine, Texas. We're doing a little helicopter hunt for an assortment of animals. Here with Sam Mackey from Outsider, obviously. Matt Best, Ranger. We learned what a Ranger was last night. New York Times bestseller, co-founder of Black Rifle. A very pretty individual, I must say. Great white teeth.
It's the fake teeth that wins everybody over. It's the veneers that gets them.
Thanks for joining us.
I drank too much coffee. That's why.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This has been a freaking phenomenal trip so far. So
absolutely. We've done a lot of killing. I think we're up in the 300s on All Dad.
Yeah, I think we're in the 400s, 500s total. I mean, everything.
A metric fuck ton of pigs. And we're up in the, I think, 20s or so on coyotes. So it's been a great hunt so far. So I have all day tomorrow to go at it. But I decided to take a little break and pick your brain a little bit about some things.
Nice makeshift setup you have here.
Yeah, we're living in John Hughes' his bedroom right now, and I'm loving it.
Spare bedroom. You just set up 3 cameras.
Has a little heroin den feel to it, but it's nice.
It's good. We got puppy lampshades that the audience can't see, but I promise you they're oil paintings, and they look amazing. Yeah, this predator hunting, I've actually never done it to the extent of this. Well, predator hunting, of course, and hog hunting, but like the fact that you can do population control at the extent that this property allows, and the landowner's like, wow, like probably once in a lifetime opportunity. I mean, it's crazy.
I had no clue we were shooting Aoudad, and then I did some research with. When I say Katie did some research, my wife, and she told me about how the Aoudad population, when they get overpopulated, it has a huge effect on the ram population, and rams are the real trophy sheep that everyone wants to go after. I'm sure I'm fucking this.
How does it affect the rams?
Disease mainly.
The sheep as well.
Yeah.
And then I think, it's like you have to have I'm not even going to talk to it. Yeah. The smart people, the biologists, and the people that do the herd control.
The point is we're doing a good thing.
Yeah. You're like, you have X amount to kill, go to work. And we brought plenty of ammunition.
I just saw that damn those mule deer run across again. Like, they're like clockwork. They run back
to that tank out there.
And then they come back in the afternoon.
So,
you guys are already like tall guys, but I feel so short in this chair.
Well, you're in a shorter chair.
I'm just like,
strategically placed.
I like kiss the rings or something or whatever this is, but hey, I'm here for it.
Sets you up for failure right there.
Yeah, and I'm like a complete a-hole. I didn't even bring my Outsider mug, which is my favorite mug, because when you showed me that, like, I think it was like a year and a half ago, probably.
About that, yeah. Like, Record Book.
Yeah.
Yeah. Record Buck Ranch up in Texas, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But we did a run of those at Black Rifle. They did extremely well. I love that stuff. So we're gonna bring it back. We have to.
Thank you. That'd be great.
Cool. Let's get a quick rundown of where'd you grow up?
Born and raised in Santa Barbara, California. We were like the awkward conservative family there.
I like it there.
It's one of the best, honestly, geographically speaking. Yeah. One of the best cities in, I think, the entire nation. I mean, you have the beach, and then you have the mountains, and there's nothing else. So you get like urban sprawl that pushes it north and south, but that's why the cost of living is so extraordinary. I mean, like, for what I live on my 50 acres in Texas, I could probably buy a single bedroom condo out there, but it's awesome. But no, I grew up there, and then, joined the Army at 17, bounced around everywhere. And then Texas was where my heart was at, and my soul. And I live here in Texas. So
did you join to become a Ranger?
100%. We were talking about it. I came from like a super long lineage of military service. My great uncles were all, I'll tell this story. I think I've only told it once, but my great uncles all World War II veterans. They flew different aircraft. I think B-17s. I always missay it, but really extraordinary people. Great family. And then, my dad's dad was a Marine. My dad was a Marine. My uncle was a Marine, and my 2 brothers were Marines serving the invasion of Iraq. So it's like, always been. You didn't have a choice. It's always been there. The funniest part too is when I joined the Army at 17, you have to get the parental signatures. I thought my mom was going to be like the hard one. She was like, whatever you want, son. And then I went to my dad. I'm like, this is a shoe. And my dad was like, you're joining the fucking Air Force. That's it. And threw the papers back at me.
The Air Force.
Yeah. Because my dad knew the environment. Yeah, he was in the Vietnam space. Like he knows. So yeah, he was pretty contentious against the decision to go directly into special operations. He's like, you're gonna see war. It was at the GWAT. It was already popped off, 2004. So, but that was why I watched Black Hawk Down. It was like, the SEAL movies. They get you amped up.
That's why
But the story I haven't told really a lot ever was, my uncle Frank. So he was a Navy SEAL, and I remember this vivid moment when I was a child. I was at my cousin's or my aunt's house. So the cousins are there. Did
you say aunt?
Yeah.
Huh.
Aunt?
Do you say aunt or aunt?
Yeah, I'm an aunt guy.
Is that a California thing?
I don't think so.
I don't know.
I just say aunt.
Yeah, I like it.
Because like aunt, I don't know.
Yeah.
Fuck it, whatever.
I think aunt, I think it's a U in there.
I'm just trying to be grammatically correct.
Yeah, there you go. Anyway, sorry.
No, you're good. So he was a SEAL, and they're actually doing a training exercise. And so they're like part of the Swift boat teams, and they pull up in their boats and wherever they park. But I remember as a kid, like seeing these like mustached, burly dudes. And I'm probably like 8 years old, like first kind of vivid memories. And they're like walking up in their BDUs with their mustaches. They showed me night vision. I was just like completely enamored by it. I'm like, I think that was like the little like seed that grew into like wanting to be part of that community, just because it was, we were 8 and you see these dudes jacked and they got rolled up freaking BDU things. Their biceps are popping out. You're like, Arnold Schwarzenegger, let's go. So
I've talked, me and Sam have talked about this at length, but he was kind of, I don't know, forced to get in, but got in. And there was a point like he was like, this is a bad fucking decision. Was there ever a point where you're like, I should have thought this through?
Mine was boot camp. I got off of the bus in boot camp and everyone's yelling at me. And there's overweight Navy folks. I'm like,
cold.
I've made some bad decisions. Yeah, this is February in Great Lakes.
Oh, wow.
January. And I'm like, man, I made some bad decisions, but I fucked up. Like, this is
really,
this is bad.
I actually didn't have that. I think I got yelled at in boot camp we call it basic. You call it boot camp, but for smiling, because I remember they were screaming at everyone.
Like that, how can you not?
When they were screaming at everyone, they're like, "I will eat you for lunch" or whatever, and I was like, "This is so stupid. Like, can I go like do an obstacle course or something?" I don't know. Like, I didn't get behind like the intensity of that didn't faze me at all, and that's probably what's got me in trouble with years. I'm like that SoCal slap happy guy, and whatever.
So you go to basic and then right to Ranger school, or do you go to infantry school first? Or how's that work?
Yeah, they call it in the Army, it's like OSUT. So one station unit training at the time, which means you sign a contract, which mine was 11 X-ray option 40, which means it's going to be an infantryman. But then they put the X there for like needs of the Army. If a lot of people just get classed out as a C, which is a Charlie, which is a mortarman, which thank God I didn't do because I want to be a line. I want to be a shooter. And I got the Bravo identifier, went to infantry school. And then once you complete that, you go right into airborne school. And then once you complete airborne school, you go to
selection.
Selection, yeah. At the time, it was called RIP. Now it's called RASP. It's a different classification. But the only time I ever wanted to quit was the best Ranger competition was going on.
What's that?
It's where anybody that's Ranger qualified, which is a Ranger tab, which is outside combat leadership school, not actually being in the unit, they all come and compete to be like who's the fittest. And it's a pretty cool competition. There's some absolute freaking studs. That was going on. So all the instructors from selection were like participating in that. So I had 8 fucking weeks of raking rocks before I got to go to selection. And I remember I called my father, a very vivid memory. I was like, Dad, I just want to go get into it. Like, I didn't say I was going to quit, but I was like, I kind of just want to go to the unit. This is so stupid. I raked rocks for 12 hours a day for 6 weeks straight.
Where were these rocks at?
They're outside the barracks in Benning at the 75th Ranger Regiment.
Did you pull any weeds?
I mean, you did it all.
I pulled a lot of weeds when I first showed up the SEAL team.
Really?
Yeah.
The team was on deployment, and this guy, Kip Allen, was there. I thought he was a SEAL of the SEAL team. But he was a civilian guy, but he introduced himself. How you doing? My name's Kip Allen. I'm the acting CEO of SEAL Team 8. And he had a real heavy lisp and a southern accent. I don't know if you got that at all.
Yeah, I figured it out.
But then I checked in, and he's like, well, you're an F&G. You need to go pull some weeds out front. And I went out front and I pulled weeds for a couple of
And he
weeks.
wasn't even in the military?
No.
Just some dude sprung to you.
I got.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
In the SEAL teams?
No.
Yeah,
Never a SEAL or anything.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what they did. I mean, they were pretty harsh up there. They had, because we were over by like 30 people. And so when they marched us from the airborne barracks, because it's all in Benning, to the selection barracks, and they literally had us carry our gear. And I had this like intuition of like, why would I took one duffel bag and I hid all of my other gear in a car? Because it's like, I feel like they're going to do some rowdy shit. Like I've watched the movies and stuff, and anybody that fell behind the line, and then I think they had like 12 more people to go. And so they made all of us hold rucksacks over heads. And I was a skinny little bitch kid at the time. I was just to turn 18, like, probably soaking wet, 165 pounds.
To compete for a spot in class.
The first like 10, 12 people that dropped their rucks just got kicked out. It was pretty competitive at the time. Because they had this thing, I don't know if the Navy has it.
Did they tell you that's what they're going to do?
Yeah, they're like the first 10 people or 12 people, whatever it was, like you're out.
Damn.
And for me, I was a skate kid. I'm like, oh my God. But we had a thing called Worldwide, which is like pretty much the needs of the Army. So the way, if a lot of people don't know, I think SF does it in the Army, definitely Ranger Battalion. I'm sure a lot of the Navy does that. They give them SEAL contracts knowingly they're going to fail, and then they kind of get distributed across the Navy of where they need to go. And that's what they would do to us. They had, like, my dad was blown away when he saw the whole group of people, because they were going to like the worst freaking duty stations, and their infantrymen going to like Fort Polk or something. Like, so
we had, I've never heard of it because I was brand new, but I'm sure that same program existed before. I think it was 2006-ish, maybe 8, somewhere in there. They turned buds into an A school. But before, you used to have to go to an A school to get your trade of whatever you're going to do in the Navy if you fail out. But then they turned buds into A school. Mine was a master at arms, like a gate guard. I'll do that. Me and your dad just guarding gates.
Guarding gates,
just living life.
Stop.
ID, sir.
ID.
I mean, if that's your...
I actually got in trouble one time because I worked the same gate, same morning. I recognized everybody, and I would just do this number.
Yeah, keep moving.
Yeah, and people would stop and yell at me, like, "You need to check my ID." I'm like, I see you every morning at 6:15.
Yeah,
right. Anyway,
can I jump into a story
please.
about a gate guard? Because this is my favorite memory. My late team leader, who died in an operation back in 2006. Well, before he died, it was like the funniest memory ever of him. We just got back from an operation, got into a tick, and we come out of it. We're late to the chow hall. And so there's this like female NCO that comes up to us at the table, and he's an E5 at the time. He's my team leader. I was a private.
A tick's a gunfight. Troops in contact.
Yes, thank you. And this lady's just like
a lot of acronyms. These guys. So,
so many acronyms. We'll make
you don't know these acronyms. You don't have tattoos. Good luck with this podcast.
And this female NCO just starts ripping into my team leader like, "Plates are done. Get out of the chow hall." And he's like dirty and got blood on his boots, and like he's just like, "Chill. I'm gonna eat my like hard-boiled eggs and my burrito, and I'll be out of your hair in a little bit." And he ends up like popping off to her because he was just like, "Let my guys eat. Give us 5 minutes." Well, she complains, ends up going like all the way to like the battalion commander of like the base or whoever was there. Their reparations for him was to do gate guarding at the chow hall, and holy fuck was it funny. So a whole week you come in the chow hall and you have a ranger there like Gucci'd out gear sitting there like, "Give me your ID." I'm like, "Sergeant, do you need to see my ID?" He's like, "Fuck up and get in the chow hall." But yeah, he had to watch he couldn't go on operations for a week because he was watching the gate in the chow hall. And
it's an important job, standing in the
Hey, listen, it is.
You're the first line of defense to that food.
It's not for me. It's not for me. But yeah. So I guess yeah. And then once you go through selection, you pass. And back in the day, they've changed a little bit. But when you get to Ranger Battalion and you go through selection to be part of the Special Operations Unit, 75th Ranger Regiment, that's when if you kind of our kind of culture is like it's easy to get there kind of because their selection's 8 weeks. It's a lot shorter, but it's harder to stay because you have to kind of prove yourself. I did 2 deployments about a year and a half at the unit before I was provided the opportunity after my second deployment to go to Ranger School. And then once you get your Ranger tab and your school, you kind of come back and you're kind of like, all right, dude, you're one of the boys now.
Gotcha. And so how long were you in that Ranger unit?
I only did 4 years in Ranger Battalion, five deployments. Those are back in the surge days. It was really busy. I got out for kind of like a pretty emotional reason, and I hated myself for it. So about a year later after I got out, I was joining the National Guard, actually National Guard SF, because I was going to do the long walk and try to go over to a tier 1 unit. I was going to go to selection. But then I was provided an opportunity to get to go to another course with contracting with the agency. And so I opted into that and got, did that. And
how many years did you do that?
The agency?
The CIA.
Gotcha.
Yeah, as a contractor over there. They didn't let me say it in the book, but yeah, I mean, whatever. I'm not going to say I'm a cool guy. It was a fun job. It was inherently different from running towards a gunfight when your whole job is to not be in a gunfight. So it was like the mentality is like a 180.
How long were you in that?
Just shy of 6 years.
Wow.
So yeah, that was a cool experience. Did that for many of years, and
you got out of the agency, and then is that when you started Article 15? Or
no, I actually started it. It was a bizarre kind of thing. I started doing like YouTube videos while I was there, and it was kind of this crossroads because I thought I was going to be a government guy for the rest of my life.
Likewise.
Yeah, I put myself through college because when there were certain avenues that I wanted to go after that required, at least a bachelor's degree. So I put myself through college in 3 years.
Same thing. Yeah.
I was like, all right, let's just do this. Let's put the work in. And I was doing that all while I was overseas. So I go do my work, and then at night or day, whenever I had the opportunity, I just do my schooling. But then when
you say you thought you were going to be government guys for like doing what in the government?
There's specific elements that, just like the military, right? Like you can be an infantryman, you can be an airborne, you can be special operations, and above special operations, there's there's tiers to it.
Sure.
And if you get into where I was, I kind of started at a mid-level with that group, and I don't know, I'm a very competitive person, so I didn't want to stay there. I was like, how do I get to like the cool guy shit?
Yeah.
And some of that required a little more education and time in service, and so that was like my whole direction. But I just randomly started making YouTube videos to make people laugh. And then I woke up one day and I was like, fuck, I have to make a decision. I have to delete YouTube.
Yeah.
Or I got to like double down on this. And it came to a point where like I was at a hub where people were flying in on what we used to call the air bridge, that like people were recognizing me like, what are you doing here, dude? And I'm like, working.
Work here.
Work here. I got the badge. And that was a little weird. And it kind of really burnt me out the last year because it was like, personal and professional lives were like slamming into each other. And I kind of felt like I was not like making people unsafe, but I had to pick one.
It's kind of a disservice to both sides.
Agreed. And so I got really injured on a horse, actually. Thank you, Jared Taylor. He flew a drone over a horse and I got bucked off, like nearly shattered my knee, broke my arm, put my teeth through my face.
I'm a little scared of horses. I'm not going to lie. Is that why you have fake teeth?
No, but I had so many chipped teeth that the dentist was like, you need veneers, you idiot.
Gotcha.
And I was like, well, make them pretty and white. Horses are terrifying, bro.
I went through
big animals.
We did some course where
didn't you guys ride horses?
We're moving from safe house to safe house. This is in North Carolina, and every night we used a different platform. I think the first night that's when the Razors first came out, and
that was fun.
And they were super fast, you know. And the second night, I think we walked, and then the third night was on horseback.
Like, let's just go back to the Razors, guys.
And and we were sleeping in people's like sheds and garages as if they were safe houses. We were doing this exercise. It was real stupid. But we show up the third night, like, oh yeah, this one's on horseback. We hop on these horses. I'm thinking like, I'm going to get a lesson. Like, here's how you turn right. Here's how you turn left. I've ridden a horse maybe 2 times before this.
Slapped his ass and sent you on his way.
That's exactly what we did. We're riding for like 4 minutes, and like, the lady comes, and she's like, oh, there's a little creek up here, so we're going to pick up some pace and jump it. Like,
what does that mean?
And so what the horses, they follow each other, so I did that. But then
your horse had to hate you because you're not small.
So we have to go down this is later on the night. We go down this creek, and there's a steep, muddy embankment on the other side. And I'm following the guide gal, and she's having trouble. My horse is right on that horse's ass. They're gonna get up that hill. I just lean forward and I just kick the piss out of my horse, right, and put all my weight forward. Well, my buddy Cody, he's behind me. He's on his horse and he's leaning back a little. That horse came ass over tea kettle on him. And luckily that horn hit his plates and he was all right. But he already hated horses. And then we rode for another like 8 hours after that all night. And I remember the lady saying, "Oh, there's a lot of bears in this area, but don't worry, the horses will see them before you. The only catch is they'll just take off running. So if your horse just takes off in a dead sprint, hold on, because you saw a bear.
You're like, I feel better about all of this now. This is great.
So that's why I'm scared of horses. Yeah.
I feel like if you don't grow up with horses, like if people ride horses and listen to this, they're like, why are you so scared? I feel like you have to have like iterations on them, because if you don't have the experience, they're just this like, it's literally it's like a car with a brain. It's don't
get me wrong, I could become a cowboy if I wanted to, but
I think that's my next step in life. I'm being a cowboy.
There's no way to.
I mean, I've got these horses in Kentucky. You go there, ride your big ass off all the time you want.
The kids look great on them. So you leave the agency, go right into your YouTube videos. I remember seeing the first one I saw was, I think it was a Ranger versus Navy SEAL song. Oh, yeah, that was solid.
I went back and watched that the other day. I was like, wow, that was bad. But at the time, yeah. You know, a funny story. I was actually writing a Navy SEAL like boy band thing, and like I wrote it, and I was like, man, I'm just being mean. I'm gonna get ripped apart by the teams. And I was like, oh my god, there was this old YouTube channel. It's called like Epic Rap Battles of History. I was like, no one's ever done that in the military. I mean, it's so competitive in nature of all like Rangers are better, SEALs are better. You know how the whole thing is, and so I decided to make that, and I'd done a few before that, but that was the one that kind of like put me on, and I was still working for the agency at the time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice. They didn't mind about any of that?
I mean, I was a contractor, so I don't think they fucking cared.
I saw myself getting out at 20 years, 30 years, somewhere there, and then going straight to ground branch and doing that for the rest of my life till I retired.
What's ground branch?
It's like the action arm of the agency. So they're gunfighters, but for the CIA.
Oh.
So the same line. You're just essentially just carrying a gun for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
You know, until I met John Hughes, and then we were down at his place in Corpus Christi at the bar down the beach there. I don't know if you've been to that one with him. And he just looked at me and goes, I don't think you should ever work for anybody ever again. And that's when my, I guess, entrepreneur mindset kicked in after he gave me a lot of guidance. And
the hard thing with like contracting is I always called it we're male strippers, because you know, your level of income drastically increases. I mean, I think when I was an E5 with Comet Pay, Pro Pay, and all their things, you're making $55,000 or something at the time.
Goodness.
And then you go contract and you're like, you get a month paycheck and it's $25,000. And then you're like, I'm buying the Ford Raptor. And you see a lot of guys do that. And the reason I call it stripping, it's like, I'm just putting myself through college. And then you find out you're 39 years old, you know, with the C-section scar trying to strip. And like, power to you, girl. Power to you. And there's a lot, but I still have friends that are still doing that from when I was back doing that. And I left it 2015.
How's their quality of life?
I just think it's hard. Luckily, I didn't have a family and I was young, but like it's tragic, at least for me, and maybe it works out for certain people. So I think always on an individual basis, but I couldn't spend 8 months away from a wife and kids or something like that. Like it's just, especially when you've done it your whole life, and like, it's so iterative of like, you come home, you have your fun for maybe a month, and then that other deployment's always leaning on your head. Cause I think I did like 18 with them. Like, it's just, so you're always freaking gone or whatever it was. I don't know. Don't quote me on that, but yeah, that's so I saw that, and that's where I kind of chose that road of like, hey, I don't want to like have the man telling me what to do and go die for some politician's bullshit, and then have awkward rules of engagement where I can't protect myself. The
dying part, I never dug too deep into that, you know, because I just didn't want to. But now looking back, I'm retired. I'm like, oh, cool. I'm not in prison. I'm not dead. It's two huge W's.
We made it. Yeah.
I'm serious.
The dying part, I didn't look too hard into it because I didn't want to. Didn't want to die, or didn't want to look into it?
You didn't want to look into it? I mean, you can go down that rabbit hole daily.
Oh, for sure. I can't
and
imagine.
Then you become
obsessed with it.
Yeah.
And that's probably when you die.
Yep, exactly.
I always thought, like in battalion, I always thought I was going to die, especially the op tempo we had. I was like, oh, I'm definitely, and that's why I just didn't care. And then I think that slowly started to trickle away. The agency time was really good for me because it was like, you know, you're smoking cigarettes with the nicotine in battalion because you're just getting that fix. And it was almost like a nicotine patch after, where it was like enough, but it gave you a little more visibility of like, this is not the life. Unless like there was like an actual threat to like continental United States. And like, I would sign up right now and go back and do it. But yeah, I think that you can do far more impactful things specifically in the community. And I think Black Rifle has been a testament to that, of like the awareness piece, like the working with the philanthropic side of the business and awareness and like helping veteran suicide, all these things that I've like really matured into realizing that there's a far bigger issues that I can combat and hopefully be like a thought leader and build an azimuth for people to go grow their professional and personal lives other than just having a gun on target. And maybe that's just like a justifiable way in my own mind of like presenting why I should be where I'm at. But I like where I'm at now.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I would like to peel back that onion just a tad bit more and bring up the boot campaign, because Jay and I are getting involved in the boot campaign.
Sweet.
You're heavily involved in it. John's involved in it. Could you tell everyone what the boot campaign is, what they do, who they represent, and so on and so forth, and educate our listeners on the boot campaign?
They make some big hats for you too.
I know.
I mean,
you can pull off a white hat. I can't.
It's a big melon there.
I mean, with sunglasses and hats, the metric is a pumpkin. Well, these sunglasses fit on a pumpkin. I got a fat, round face.
I don't know the exact statistic, but there's something around 50,000 nonprofits in the veteran space that are trying to support the mission. And albeit I agree with most of it and all that, but like something that I set out to do was like, if I'm going to put my time, energy, and money into stuff, I want them to be like on the same mission that I believe that we need. And the boot campaign stood out to me. And honestly, I give all the credit to John, because John brought me in. I was supporting events. They were kind enough to offer me a board seat. So I sit in the board of directors, and they focus on like individualized treatment for invisible wounds of war. And I'm sure you have it. Like, especially last year, we lost a lot of really good Rangers to suicide. Like, it was freaking brutal over the last 2 years. And you sit there, I don't know how the answer, but like the boot campaign is like a viable option for people to seek treatment that actually will impact their family and quality of life. And for me, that meant a lot more. And I'm not discrediting it, but like horseback riding, I know that's great for certain people, but I'm like, I want to be at the precipice of it, of saying like, how do we get people to where they actually need to go socialize and build networks? And they can't do that when they're addicted to opioids or alcoholics, or they're completely depressed. And if they go to the VA, half the time it's kind of a Band-Aid on a bullet hole. They're actually just like blanketly treating, and they treat causation, not like, the symptomatic section of it, not the causation. In the boot campaign, and I've been through the program myself, they literally like analyze you as not as like a Ranger or a soldier or whatever. They're like, okay, you're Matt. Let's like, what's wrong with you and how do we help you? And for me, it's blown me away about what their type of treatment. And, Shelly, who's the CEO, is just one of the salt of the earth woman. She is so passionate, purposely driven. They have my like complete utter support of what they do.
How long is that program?
It's contingent on what you sign up for. I mean, there's some like clinical stuff that they can do with blood work. I did TBI brain scans, and you get to see how fucked up your brain is.
All the white spots on your frontal lobe.
That's cool. I wonder what that one was from.
You're shaking your head.
Players, man, you guys have some CTE. I mean, there's a lot of correlation, I think, between and I wish that, and I think that's something I want to work in the future of like, there's like scientific studies and case studies that are like siloed, and like, how do you get a unilateral like perspective that we can like getting hit in the head with a helmet is the same thing of eating a charge. Essentially, your brain bounces off, right? Sure. So it's the same shit. So like, how do we like unify information and scientific data to get the best treatment for these people?
Well, so, you guys shooting guns all the time too. I mean, that just recoil. I mean, it's just a lot in your brain. Like a normal human just doesn't go through that.
We've talked about the parallels in our, I guess, personalities and our thought process, and then also, my wife, or we've told Katie before, like, oh yeah, just put us in the same mental institution when we're 60 so we can meet each other every day and become friends again.
Yeah. Hey, I'm Jay. Hey, I'm Sam.
Yeah, you're all right.
Let's hang out.
But anyway, it's our, he is very tactful. Yeah. But he's a tactician in his thought process, right? Based on his past. And likewise, and that's how we really bonded, just because we think the exact same way, whether it be about a parking spot or about, where to sit at a table, anything like that. We're just always on the same page. However, I think we're on the same page in a lot of other ways, like you just mentioned about, TBIs, years worth of concussions. So it would be super cool to dissect that and find the parallels and find what's in common, because we could open up the door, the boot campaign, or someone else could open up the door and help a lot more people.
Yeah. And to the boot campaign side, I mean, they have a section of that which is like clinically based. And so they'll send you to something called the Cooper Clinic, which is Dallas based. And it's like a one-stop, shop for everything. And I went through that portion as well. And I did pay my way, just so people don't think I'm taking money for the boot campaign. I obviously paid my own way. But the cool part about that, you get like fucking 12 doctor appointments in one day.
Wow.
And then at like 7, when you're done, you have a general practitioner that reads you back and tells you what's going on. And you kind of collectively decide the point forward. And like, it depends at where you're life, but there's a lot of people out there that just don't have the opportunity through the VA to do that. They're like, I got this, I got that. Yeah. Like my shoulder's messed up. Like you have the ability, and they'll schedule and work through. And that's where I'm like so about it, because there's proactiveness to like change their lives, rather than saying the VA or something like, oh, you get like a new doctor and your appointment's in 9 months. Like sometimes 9 months is a difference between that person doing something real fucking stupid and living a quality life with their family and being present in their kids' life for the rest of their lives.
The NFL is brutal about it. I mean, they make it damn near impossible for some of these guys to get health benefits after they're done.
Yeah. Really?
I mean, it's one of our good friends, Zach, I didn't text you back. He just texted me today. I mean, his almost had to amputate his leg, and it took him years for them to finally like, all right, fine, we'll give you health insurance for benefits for the rest of your life. NFL's bad.
And he was in the league for a hot minute. 10 years?
Yeah, he was about around there, yeah.
Yeah, that's a long time to play football.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people out there that need specific help in that capacity, so that's awesome you guys are doing that.
Yeah, it's really
cool.
How
much money has Black Rifle raised for the boot campaign, or with the boot campaign?
Oh, Lord, I'd have to figure that out.
I saw something recently. Was it like $4 million or $1 million this year? I saw
we did, I think we did, it's on the website. I think we did 4.5 million in general to a broad spectrum. But I think this year was 500,000 just in cash donations to the boot campaign, which is pretty significant if you look at it. And the boot campaign also, they're third party audited. They're an A+ nonprofit. And like, for me, if you run businesses, like you have to look at like, you have to quantify the good that they're doing, and like transparent P&Ls, meaning like you see where the money comes in, you see where the money goes, because there are some really dirty nonprofits out there. And I've learned that where like you find out you donated $50,000 to these people, and like $40,000 went to them just fucking off
salaries.
And being for profit, the famous story of that was like Wounded Warrior, and they've done a complete leadership change. So I've heard that they've gotten good, but there's a point there, I think it was like 20 cents of the dollar. Like that's, if you're not above 80 cents to the dollar going to the cause, like don't even fucking call me. Yeah. Like refuse to talk to you.
It's a good segue. How'd you get into Black Rifle? How'd all that start?
When I was doing the YouTube stuff, man, I was just like, I started a bunch of businesses, like we did a movie, I had Article 15 Clothing, Lead Slinger Spirits, like all these different businesses. And then I met my business partner, Evan, and he's a huge coffee dude. So he roasted coffee for my apparel company, and that did well. And it was a really cool bag. So I was like, of course people are going to buy this.
What was the apparel company?
Article 15 Clothing. It was like a lifestyle brand. It was kind of a niche thing, but it was pretty successful. We were doing good. And with the coffee stuff, it was just like, kind of made sense. Like everybody drinks coffee, and also I don't have to like create a shirt design every 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And it just kind of, it blew up. And so I kind of dissolved and sold off most of my other businesses and just went all in at Black Rifle. And this is our 10 year of business. So been a hell of a ride.
What are you up to now in the Black Rifle space?
So I currently sit as the co-founder, and also I'm on the C-suites. There's, I think, 6 chief executives. So I'm the chief creative officer. So I kind of run like the look, the feel, the brand kind of vibe. And then, I have my fingers in everything.
Perfect.
I love it. Definitely not finance though. I'd be like, let's go buy a blimp. No, not that. I'm not that crazy. But definitely not in numbers.
Have you said that before?
No, that's more of a Jared Taylor thing. He's like, let's put miniguns on a blimp. I'm like, really good idea, but like, let's bring that cost down.
I kind of like this blimp idea.
It could be good. It could be good.
You could just start with a hot air balloon, though.
Well, that's why I always loved when back in the day when we were like, we should put a minigun on a Prius. We're like, let's do it. And there's 3 of us making the decision. We're like, all right. So we like went out and got a Prius, put a minigun on it. Richard Ryan got it all set up. And like, I don't know, it's rowdy. It's just nimble. It's a nimble business still. I mean, we're a publicly traded company, obviously now. And I think that presents a lot of positive opportunities for people to be involved in the company. And, but yeah, I very much respect Black Rifle's organization. You know, we've had our bumps and bruises, but it's cool. The soul of that company is really genuine. And I'm not just saying that, like, if I go away tomorrow, you know, if they decide I'm not deserving of being there, sure, great. But it's proud to still be a part of it 10 years into it.
Oh yeah, it's super cool. All right, so it's beginning of March. Wow. Beginning of March. What do you have planned for the rest of the year, hunt-wise? Do you have any big hunts lined up?
Oh, Lord.
Big outdoor trips, extravaganzas?
Well, I think I'm just going to focus on what's right in front of my face because this has been an exceptionally cool trip. My 2 brothers, obviously you guys know, they're here, and they just went on their second run today, back to back, and
could be third.
I think they just went.
I think they're loading up again.
Are they? They're out there probably loading
bodies everywhere.
They're out there talking. They're telling stories.
Yeah, it's fun. We were talking outside, but if you guys, for the audience, if they haven't seen it, like, you're out here helping these ranchers because population management, predator management, and there's consequences to like managing all this stuff. They're the pros. We're just the stupid knuckle dragger shooters. But to go out there and identify the right animals and shoot, and the ability to shoot that much from a helicopter is truly extraordinary. So this has been like the trip I've really, really looked forward to.
I've never done it before, and it is a shit ton of fun when you get into them.
I've done it with hogs and up closer to where the hell was I at? Lubbock. Mm-hmm. Never done it with audads. Like, that's a whole different.
I don't think anybody's done it with audads. I think it's a first for everyone.
It's so much fun.
You almost feel bad. You're like, that's a glorious animal, but you got to die.
I never had that thought.
I mean, yesterday,
yeah,
I never felt bad.
I will say, taking the 308 out, it was like the best thing. Just dirt napping them.
I shot 60 yesterday afternoon, maybe 65 in 15 minutes.
I heard some. You're the one that fell off the rock, right? Too.
Yeah.
I heard some whispering in the kitchen this morning.
Oh boy.
Or yesterday. No, it was this morning. And John was talking to somebody, and he said something to the effect of, "Oh yeah, Jay came back and said 60, but I talked to Jim Breck, and he said he was well north of 60." And I hate to hype you up, let alone on fucking camera.
Hey, just so everybody, Jay can shoot, bro.
Oh, he's a shooter.
Jay can shoot.
He turned around because, I mean, we had groups of 40, like 3 groups of 40, and we're just whacking them. And at some point, like the can, it's damn near smoking. And Ken, the pilot's like, "What's smoking? What's smoking?" Because we're right up against that shelf there in the mountain. And I'm like, "It's just a can. We're good." And Jim turned around and he goes, do we need to stop for a minute? And I was like, no.
Blow the suppressor off. Yeah. Dude. Let's go. Burn the baffles out. Let's go, dude.
Shot another 80 times. So, I mean, there was a lot, and there was a lot of dead animals. Yeah. It was fun.
Right. All for a good cause, of course.
I guess.
For my good cause, it's just fun. But if it helps out the ranchers and they need it, I'm here for it. But no, I don't have any like huge hunts set up this year. I usually do like 2 harvesting hunts where like I do high fence Texas stuff. And beginning of the year in January, I shot a bison, a nilgai.
Wow.
And then, I have like 4 or 5 freezers at the house. And we just, that's food for the entire year.
Have you shot a bison before?
I shot 3.
I shot one for the first time. I think it was December.
In the face.
Yeah. Well, the cool thing is if you hit them right in the head here, you can actually get the Euro mount, and then you have the bolt hole through the head.
Where you can hang it?
Yeah.
I have that for a bear. I didn't get that skull, though. I should have.
You didn't get your bison skull?
Maybe I'm getting it.
You have.
I got the meat.
I think they sent it to you.
Yeah, because I'm getting the hide. I'm getting a layer of fleece put on the bottom of the hide, so it's a big blanket. Texas.
I don't know how they do it down here.
Texas is like walking groceries. There's some real hard hunting out here. Like if you come out to this area in Alpine And like Cole Kramer's one of my dear friends. He's like one of the best guides. He took me on my brown bear hunt in Alaska. He hunts aoudad out here like rams. And man, you fucking put in the work.
It's a tough hunt if you're not in a helicopter.
No, you're walking.
I can imagine walking
at least
here.
10 miles a day, at least. And then you're sitting on hilltops glassing all day. It's work.
I didn't know they butchered bison just like a cattle. Because I was talking to my friend, like, do I have to tell them, you know, what cuts of meat I want? Like, nope, they butchered just like a cattle.
Yep.
Same thing. And I got all my meat, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, a month ago or something like that. And it filled the whole freezer.
Oh, it's the best. Yeah. I mean, it's better tasting. It's great. It's non-GMO and organic for all you hippies out there. I had a friend once call me. I won't say who it was, but there's a lady that near and dear friend of mine, but you know, she's a Hollywood person, and her husband is not a part of this culture whatsoever. And they FaceTimed me like 2 years ago, and he was like, "Hey, I think I'm ready to like finally shoot an animal." I was like, "Okay, cool. Come on down." He goes, "But I want it to be like grass-fed and organic." And I was like, "What the fuck do you think these things are, dude?" Like, I mean, you might have some that are hitting those protein feeders a little hard in some Texas spots. But I'm like, they're chilling. Like everything is age restricted to make sure it's a mature bison or whatever animal you're shooting. All of it's like based on conservation and getting a whole loop back of the animals. I enjoy it, and it's also there's more of like a emotional component with your meat. Like I love making like Axis burgers, and people are like, "Oh, what's this Axis? Oh, where'd you get that?" I'm like, "Actually, this is the hunt. I did this and this with this person on it." It's so much more like a visceral experience.
And a lot of people that do not hunt, for example, I had my daughter's birthday party last week and made tons of burgers. They're all bison burgers. They were infatuated with it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we tried to buy these at Costco, but they always sell out and this and that. So I like having people over that aren't really into hunting or eating wild game and serving them, you know, just a smorgasbord of wild game and see how it's received. And 90% of the time it's received extremely well.
You usually just can't tell them up front sometimes. You're like,
I've done that a lot
this
too.
Is Neil guy. They're like, I don't know if I want to try that. And then you just feed them the burger. Like, this is the greatest burger I've ever had. I'm like, it's Neil guy. Here's the photo of it. And they're like, what?
That meat's supposed to be amazing.
The best.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. I've never had it.
Any of like the antelope species, and I think Neil guy is, those are amazing. Like red deer, red stag, elk.
Yeah.
Neil guy, Axis, those are like my top bison. I mean, you can't beat bison.
I like antelope too.
Delicious.
I have never had antelope.
Breakfast sausage, antelope.
When they eat a lot of sage, that makes perfect sense.
Exactly.
Cool.
Tasty.
Well, maybe go get one more run in.
You can go shoot some?
I don't know. Oh, we'll see what's going on out there.
Feeling frisky?
I mean, but we do have all day tomorrow.
We do.
And we'll just get ready for supper and do some bullshitting around the fire or kitchen table.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I promise not to like coach you on Ranger culture again.
Actually, I had zero clue.
Isn't it funny how like isolated certain units are? Yeah. And that's like, because like I know the only reason I learned like a lot about the teams is like, you know, was really when I contracted, because like your teammates are like a MARSOC guy, a unit guy, a SEAL, and you're like, oh, you guys do that stuff. It's kind of, or
when you were trying to make fun of them on YouTube.
What's that?
Or when you were trying to make fun of them on YouTube.
Well, that's easy. I mean, the SEALs are always out there making their movies and books, which I've made a movie and a book. So that's I should watch my mouth. I have okay hair too. You know, I don't have Jay hair. Jay has some of the best hair in the game.
You're right. You're right there with me.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, if I had a full head of hair, I'd just be a menace to society.
Is that
one guy can't have it all?
As if you're not already. It's the hair. That's the caveat.
That's what I tell myself anyway.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, brother, cool. Thanks for taking the time.
Always.
It's been a fun weekend. We're not done yet, but got some more shooting to do.
Yes.
Yeah, and I will completely confirm. Like your guys' product, Outsider, is so freaking cool and good, and I'm excited to see the growth trajectory of that business. Like, hopefully, I can be a active bystander and watch you guys crush it, because it's awesome what you guys are doing.
Thank you. And everyone, check out Black Rifle. Coffee's amazing. Online, Walmart, it's everywhere. It's everywhere now. UFC, it's Coffee of UFC. It's hard not to see Black Rifle out there.
Appreciate it.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Kill some more shit.
See you when we see you.